a very warm welcome. This weekend we head off to Te Rapa. We look forward to the Waikato stud Foxbridge Plate at Group 2 level. We also have the Pakatanga Hunt jumps to look forward to as well. And we'll be heading down south, Riccarton, our main focus down there on the synthetic. So to talk us through all of the action, we've got Matt Cross back along with Bevan Sweeney and Leith Innes. And here's what's coming up on the show. We'll be starting with our feature, the Foxbridge Plate, the Pakatanga Hunt preview as well over the hurdles and the steeples. Our racetrackers, a couple we've picked out for you recently. The Riccarton preview as well, checking out the best races on the program down there. And as you'd expect, our best bets to round out the show. It is Foxbridge Plate Day on Saturday. Leith, we've had a bit of rain around, currently a heavy 10. Can you see it improving come Saturday?
Yeah, Pip, look, obviously the track's sort of in that heavy 10 range where they had 57 mils over the last 7 days. Look, I had a quick chat to Andrew Castles this week, and he seemed to think there was probably about 4 mils of rain probably to about lunchtime on Saturday. So, look, I don't think we're going to get out of that heavy 10 range, but the best thing is the rail's in the true position for Saturday.
Okay, well, let's have a look at our main focus, and it is at the Foxbridge field. As you can see here, Bonnie Lass now favourite at 4.20. Now, Dragon Leap has come out of this last year's winner, so the market has changed a little bit. Sacred Satono at 4.80, and the main mover so far has been Master Faye. He's into $10 from 11s. He did get a short as $8.50. So that's currently how the market is shaping up. Leith, how do you see them settling in the early rush?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, Pip. Obviously, you've got Sacred Satono who's drawn Barry at 10, and We Will Rock. I thought he was probably the natural leader in the race. Jonathan Rowdell's got a good 300 metres before he makes his mind up if look, he'll decide if the inside's still okay by this time of the day. Electric Time with Dragon Leap being scratched gets in the field, so they'll be positive with her as well. And you got Bonnie Lass and look, Ski Whiff if she jumps out of the gates. Turn the Ace from the outside gates, another one to go forward. So I think there's going to be a really good tempo in the race.
Okay, Bevan, any thoughts on this as well?
Well, I think there's a few that are going to make a decision just out of that particular speed map. I think Bonnie Lass, if it jumps in, is just a little bit positive, will find a perfect spot. I think Opie's not going to give away his draw on Skew Whiff and try and find a forward position. I think I agree completely with Leith. We Will Rock is the leader, but Turn the Ace comes across from a wide draw. What I do with Sacred Satono from middling draw, he was right on speed at his most recent trial. Puntura has a real big decision to make from that draw, because we have seen that horse go forward on wet tracks and be really dominant off a forward position. Mustang Valley, she can definitely hold a spot if the rain does come. So I thought it's an interesting speed map. Electric Time adds some interest, exactly where that horse will land, and maybe puts itself in a niggly spot for a few. But what I thought was We Will Rock will find a nice spot. Bonnie Lass finds a really good spot, and if Opie can get Skew Whiff out, I think she finds a trailing position, which will be tough to beat from her on what we saw last season.
Yeah, certainly will be. Of course, she was a runner-up for last season. And talking of the form, let's have a look at a couple of videos. And we'll start with Bonnie Lass. And Leith, we'll head to you. What did you make of her trial here at Te Rapa?
Yeah, look, it was a really nice trial, Pip. Obviously, she's been set for this race as well. 1,200 metres really suits her. Craig Grills has got a great record with her as well. Like he said, 15 rides for 5 wins and 6 placings. So, look, I think the best thing about it, she's got that inside draw where Craig's got so many options. He can just put her to sleep early. If they're going too hard, he can decide if the inside's good or bad. And look, she's going to be awfully hard to beat.
I'm impressed with her. She's obviously come up really, really nicely. And as we mentioned in that speed map, she's got the opportunity to pick her spot in the run. She's got that perfect draw. They just nudge her out of the gates, not too overly aggressive. I think she naturally finds a really good spot. And look, we saw how unlucky she was last season until the very good victory match. She's a top-class mare who seems to have bounced back really well.
Yeah, and probably gets even better this preparation as well, Bevan. I think it's one of those races, looking at the map, that we're looking at the pattern of the day. We've got 5 flat races before the Foxbridge and 2 of those over 1,200 metres. So during the day, we're going to get a really good guide as to how that track is playing. If it is up and in, then you're liking a horse like Bonnie Lass, who should really be getting the run of the race.
Yeah, she should be. Well, that's a look at her. Now let's have a look at a couple of others coming out of the trials. This is Sacred Satono, who wins this. Mustang Valley, obviously, in behind. Bevan, what did you think about this trial?
My first impression was, geez, it's going to be tough to beat Sacred Satono after this particular trial. He dominated it and he had a decent sort of blow after it. I think it has told us that Mustang Valley's come back well. I think Skewiff has come back really nice then. Sharp and Smart might be finding a little bit of his old mojo, but he did this pretty easily, and he is that type of horse who loves it here, and I think he's a pretty strong sort of 1200 metre horse, Lee.
Yeah, he tried it really well. Obviously, he's come back bigger and stronger as a 5-year-old. Look, they didn't go overly hard in the trial, and sort of from the top of the straight to the winning post, they all sort of held their spots. But I was really impressed how Mustang Valley, look, she's a 6-year-old mare now, and you would think the 1200 metres would be a little bit short for her. But look, what I saw at the trials, she's come back bigger and stronger. And look, if it does happen to rain during the day, she's going to be awfully hard to beat.
I thought Sacred Satono wasn't a natural heavy tracker, but as we saw in the Foxbridge a couple of years ago with Imperatriz, the cream rises no matter what the track is. And if We Will Rock and Sacred Satono settle handy without there being too much pressure, we know that he's got the class to kick away. So this is We Will Rock here, gents, who were obviously thinking he's going to land himself up on the speed. And Bevan, if he were to get away with some cheap splits through that middle part, we know the turn of foot he's got over those concluding stages as well.
He's an interesting horse in that when he wins, he just dominates them, doesn't he? And you can tell before the corner what sort of mindset he is in. Now, this is clearly a lesser race than he'll meet on Saturday. He had to go around in this race last season and had to work really hard from a wide barrier to get forward, and he raced with a lot of credit. But he's the sort of horse, if turning the corner, Leith, and he's still in that powered up action, then he's going to be very, very tough to beat if he can hug that running rail.
Yeah, he loves Rapa as well. Look, he's had 5 starts there for 3 wins and a placing. And look, Mark Chittick, he has a share in the horse as well, so he'd love to win the Foxbridge. He's got represented by 2 chances as well in ski whiff. But I know Guy Larry's set him for this race and he'll have him spot on for this Saturday.
Yeah, at least Jonathan Riddell knows him very well. As we move on to another runner we want to highlight, Romancing the Moon, who finishes second here. Whiteack also comes out of this trial, Mallyston as well. Leith, out of this, who really caught your eye?
Look, I thought Whiteack was really good, Pip. Look, they really put him to sleep early, and I think if there's going to be one that's going to be running home from the back of the field on Saturday and they are getting off the inside, I think Whiteack's definitely the top 3 chance in the race. Look, obviously we saw on a firm track at Pukekohe when they won the railway, he was electric that day, and by all accounts he's been working up really well and past the line there. That's Legato in front of him, and he was probably get trolled up just as good.
I've heard some pretty positive things about how he's going. Sectionally he was fantastic in the Quokka. We saw what he did last season on a wet track at Counties, and on the evidence of that trial, he is going to be very, very difficult to beat on Saturday, and he's probably one of the 2 that comes from back. I think Master Fay and him might be back in this particular race, and if there is one to bomb them at, it might be Whiteack as we saw last season.
Yeah, it could be deja vu of Dragon Leap from last year as well, who we saw get back on the fence and then duck and dive between them rather than coming around. He's just hoping for that tempo to be good and there to be no bias to the leaders up front. You're going to get a really good gauge on this market closer to start time with the pattern of the day, and if it is up and in, then there'll be a drift for horses like Whiteack and this horse, Master Fay. I really think he's untapped, this animal. He raced like a fresh horse at Ruakaka. He didn't really settle back in the field on a track that was quite testing during the day. So to be fair, Leith, for him to find the line as well as what he did, bearing in mind that he did race ungenerously, there's a lot to like, and the other positive is that he's got a race day run under his belt where 90% of the others don't.
Yeah, he was going into that race untrialled as well, so look, he walked into the birdcage. He was pretty big in condition, so just one question mark with him. I'd love to see him if the track improves. Obviously Vinny's on him this week, and look, Chad Orn's we've seen what a good trainer he is. He's definitely going to be a top 4 chance, but I just want to see him on a better track.
Agreed. On a better track. I think in my mind he has the quickest turn of foot out of any horse in this particular race. If he had the conditions to suit and he got that perfect suck run on the back of something, bring him into the race. Whether he gets it on Saturday, I was actually impressed with him at the Ruakaka. As Leith mentioned, he was big on that occasion. He pushed Chris Shetty, who we've seen troll yesterday, and going very, very well. Look, he's close to winning in my mind. Those track conditions just put him behind a couple for Saturday, Pip.
Yeah, they'll be definitely hoping that rain does stay away. And let's see if we can get a guide from the track. We'll start with Lance O'Sullivan. And Aidan just asked him if that rain does come Saturday, how it could affect Whiteack's chances.
Oh, it would certainly be a good assist to him. He's sort of very happy in those conditions, and You know, there's sort of, you know, any reigners we've seen in the past, he seems to grow another leg. So yeah, it certainly won't hinder his chances.
It seems to suit Rapa well, and he's going to have a lot more fitness on his side compared to those other better horses coming up. So hope he can get away from the gates and be handy enough.
Yeah, look, if he's anything like he brings his form last preparation, I mean, he was beaten a nose in the Group 2 Japan Trophy. So, look, if he brings that form, and I think it's going to be a little bit of advantage to us with the rain coming on Saturday, probably going to hold a couple of the other good ones back. Look, it's probably shaping up to be quite a good field, but look, if he can, like I said, if he can bring his form last prep, he can definitely measure up.
You know, weight for age over 1200, he might be a little bit outclassed, but he loves the track. He loves it when it's wet there. He went really well over the distance not so long ago, and for lack of other options, really, he'll line up if he can gain a start.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting. He's probably got the most solid form line from lesser horses, so it'll be really interesting. We come from a totally different perspective into this race.
Yeah, really happy with him. You know, after Riccarton, he took natural improvement. He's still got a little bit of way to go because he's just done so well this spring. So, but his work is right up to mark, and you know, going into Saturday with a horse that's ready to go.
Yeah, she looks, I think, as good as she ever has. She's coming up really well. She looked brilliant before the trial the other day, so she's ready to run a good race. It's just whether she's sharp enough over the 12.
Well, I won't be telling anybody what we're doing, but like last time at Te Rapa, but I usually leave it up to girls. He knows it better than anybody, and if there's no speed, yeah, we'll go forward. If not, she can sit back. She can do most things, but yeah, it's going to be a good field, I believe. There's a few horses that are there that are big improvers.
And Graham keeping those cards close to his chest, as you would. Well, boys, it's time for selections. Bevan, we'll start with you. Who have you put on top?
How many times can you put a line through one horse and go for another one? Gee, I was flip-flopping in a million spots on this particular race. I ended up going with Skew Whiff. I think the draw probably suits her. Her form in Australia when she originally went there last season, very, very strong. Went second in the race last season, went into the Bay and was a Group 1 winner. So her trial was okay enough to say she's going to be a massive improver into this particular race. So I'm with Skew Whiff to go one better this year.
Yeah, it's a pretty tough lineup. I'm with Sacred Sotano. I think if the track's up and in and they're winning on the inside, and Ryan Elliot's having his first ride on Sacred Sotano, he's an easy horse to ride. If he's up on the pace, he's going to be awfully hard to beat. But if they're just getting out and it does rain a little bit, I'd be aiming for Waitak.
I'd certainly be holding off having a bet in the race until we've seen 3 or 4 flat races there at Te Rapa and we know what the weather's doing and how that track's playing. But I think one of the better horses in the race from what I've seen to the eye is Master Fay. What he did at Ruakaka last time out I thought was super. He's a very good horse. If that track does improve and we know that there's going to be a bit more speed on and the market gives you a bit more of a push around Master Fay, I think he's at the right price, Pip, to be playing each way.
Yeah, absolutely agree with you there, Matt. And that is race number 8 on the program. But we also do have this to look forward to across the first 4 races with the TAB. If you're having an investment bonus back here across the first 4 from Te Rapa as well as the Valley and Randwick. So you know the drill. You don't find that winner, but your second, third or fourth on your first investment, you'll have bonus cash coming your way. Going to continue on with Te Rapa now and have a look at race number 5. Now this is the Savabeel over the 2100 metres. Diamond Jack's been the mover in the market. Opened up at $3 for Mark Brosman, now into $2.70. Hula Beat on that second line of betting at 4.2 and In a Pickle at $6.50 along with Enchanted Owl around that price with Dashwood. Let's have a look at some form and a couple coming out of this race. Hula Beat wins it. Diamond Jack obviously second and Enchanted Owl finishing into third. Leith, obviously a little bit of a weight change for Hula Beat, but hung on nicely.
Yeah, look, it's certainly a really good ride by Ace Lawson Carroll as well. He rode the horse really quiet from behind and got the gaps at the right time. The increase in weight, it might be a sway. Diamond Jack was probably a little bit unlucky in the race. He made a searching run from the sort of 700 metres and he didn't get beat by much either.
I personally need to look at too many out of the videos. I think Diamond Jack probably should have won this particular race. I think the ride on Hula Beat was the winning factor in that particular race, just with the runs that presented on the day. Diamond Jack, here's a slight swing in weights back towards Diamond Jack, not overly with Ace's claim, but look at smaller field, Jasmine will be close enough, and I think he'll be pretty unlucky. Well, he'll need a bit of bad luck not to be winning this race. I thought the 270 really good.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. Two things determined the result of that race. One, the ride of Ace Lawson Carroll on the winner, and two, Diamond Jack. He just flopped out of the gates and he lost vital positioning. He probably settled 3 to 5 lengths further back than what they anticipated, which meant that he had to come wide around the bend where Hula Beat was coming through in between. So if he jumps better, Diamond Jack, with the weight swing in his favour, I think he's one of the bets of the day.
Well, that's some confidence, but we do need to check out these two runners as well. In a pickle, a last start winner Warren Kennedy sticks with for Ralph Manning and stays with the same weight too here, Leith. Had the 54 kilos and got the job done.
Yeah, that was a rating 675 race, Pip, and look, it was a pretty good ride by Warren. This was the last race of the day, and look, they were sort of winning off the rail, and look, Warren's elected to stay hard on the inside and saved so much ground and ended up winning. So he's got a liking for Te Rapa, but just this is a little bit of a stronger field than he met last start.
Stronger field. I like Diamond Jack. Money came this day and they got the right result. Didn't either stable. The second runners didn't really back up during the weekend, but look, we know how good a trainer Ralph Manning is in a small field and each way play, but I just can't see it beating Diamond Jack.
Yeah, the Ralph Manning team going pretty well, aren't they? And with above the clouds and both in a pickle in there that have to be top 3 or 4 chances, Pip. But as I mentioned, I think the way that Diamond Jack just kept revving up last time out, he's a horse who I think he can pick something pretty decent up over the next 12 months. He keeps going all day, and look, even 2100 might be short of his best eventually. Son of Jackalbury and they're flying, so it'd have to be hard to roll. Yeah,
and the market is definitely suggesting that. But let's hear from some connections before we do get our selections. And we're going to start with Stephen Marsh. And Aidan just asked him how Hula Beat has prepared for this assignment.
Prepared really good. He hasn't missed a beat. Had his final gallop this morning. He'll go really well. Diamond Jack, I think, was very, very unlucky last start. So he's the one to beat, but I think we'll be top 2.
I spoke with Mark Broslin this morning and he's really happy. Obviously it's a smaller field this time, still drawn wide, but that shouldn't be an issue. Last time we just had a hard time and didn't have any luck. I probably think that the horse that we need to try and beat is Hula Beat, so fingers crossed.
There you go. So Jasmine trying to turn the tables on Hula Beat as we get selections. Bevan Morgan, we'll start with you. Are you with Diamond Jack?
Absolutely, I'm with Matt. 270, I think fantastic. He's my top selection in the race. Even from that draw, he'll just get back. He should be able to swoop into it, and I think he's one of the bets of the weekend.
Yeah, I think Diamond Jack's one of the bets of the week as well. If you got the $3, good shopping. But look, he's had 10 starts on the course for 2 wins and 3 placings as well. So he loves Te Rapa. So it's yeah, I think he'll make up for last start.
Yeah, get on. Simple as that. I think Diamond Jack, if he jumped last time, he wins. Comes in better than Hula Beat. I reckon he's going to be on Saturday.
There you go. Get on Diamond Jack, and if you're playing with a multi, maybe one to run through. That is race number 5 out of Te Rapa. It is also Pakuranga Hunt Cup Day out of Te Rapa, so let's have a look at the 2 features over the jumps, and we'll have a look at the hurdle first. Race number 1 on the program, Mount Ventoux at $3.50, Pacheco's in this market at $3.80, and then you've got Taika at $5 along with Invisible Spirit. So look, it's a very open affair according to the market. Let's take a look at some form, and we'll start with Pacheco and Mount Ventoux, and they were both heading down to the line here, Leith, but Pacheco really got away nicely in the end.
Yeah, look, there's not much between these two. Pacheco's, geez, he was last run was on the flat and an open handicap over 2,200 metres, and he was only beaten 5 lengths. So I think he's probably got the just the better ability on the flat. There's certainly not much between them, and they both jumped that sort of okay, and Pacheco came out on top.
How exciting are our jumpers at the present moment. This fella's a real improver into some pretty top grade. Mount Ventoux clearly has a record to be strongly respected. Go up against a couple of big guns in this particular race, and we've seen 73 kilos not be a big issue for some of our champion jumpers in recent times. So step up for mine around Pacheco, but he's certainly got the leg speed on the flat.
Yeah, and the big key for him as well will be if he can settle during the first half of the race as well, Pacheco. I think he's still maturing as a jumper, and once he learns to drop the bit early, then he's going to get better and better. Well, Nedwin, we can put a line through his run in the Grand National at Riccarton Park. He put in an awkward jump, and it just took the stuffing out of him. If we go back to his Wellington hurdle victory over Invisible Spirit, this was superb. It was great to see him back in the winner's circle. He's rock hard fit. He loves it at Te Rapa. I guess the only query is the 73 kilos, but as we saw here, he was able to beat Invisible Spirit on exactly the same weight 2 starts ago. So, look, he's going to be pretty hard to roll, Nedwin. He's a favourite of many, and even with the big weight, he'll be a nice start to the day.
Yeah, look, obviously he just put a line for that last race at Riccarton on that really heavy track, and like you said, he hit that couple of those fences, and they decided to pull him up, which was the right thing. So, look, he had a long trip back from South Island as well, back to Hawke's Bay, and obviously he must have come through the race pretty well as well.
Look, another really interesting runner in this particular race is Taika. Well, they said he was unbeatable at Trentham, and I think that track just tripped him up. I'm really interested in him on Saturday. The slightly better track condition, I think, will suit him. I see Hamish has chosen Taika. Well, I suspect he has. I don't know that for sure, but he's aboard Taika rather than the Nedwin in this particular race. So I'm pretty keen around Taika at $5 to take out to the open hurdle.
I'm going to stick with Nedwin. I'm going to forgive him for his Riccarton run last time. I think he can win on Saturday. Pacheco, definitely the horse who will be watching with great interest over the next 12 months as a jumper.
Yeah, I've got a lot of respect for Nedwin. I just think the 73 kilos, Pacheco on 66 kilos. Sean Phelan, I think it's a really good combination. Sean loves these jumpers, and I think he'll be going close on Saturday.
There you go, that's the hurdle. Now let's move on to race number 4. This is the Bridges Insurance Services Pakuranga Hunt Cup over the steeple. Renegade Fighter heads the betting at $4, Intellectus at $4.40. Then you've got Call Me Jack, both of the Myers runners, and the mover has been Kentucky Boy from that lethal combination at the moment, Mark Olligan and Portia Matthews, $8.50 now into $7.50. Take you back to Call Me Jack and Intellectus fighting it out here last time. Bevan, who caught your eye out of this one?
Well, they're all sort of horses who are respected in the particular market, and Kevin Myers always has a lot of chances in this particular race. Intellectus is going nicely enough. I just prefer a couple others in this particular race outside of Call Me Jack, who I thought was disappointing the other day at Rotorua, but there's always the Kevin Myers respect when they enter in a race like this.
Yeah, I'm sort of, look, I'm not worried about the last start at Rotorua. It was really, really heavy, and look, he's, I think this race might have been in the plans from a while ago, and look, I think there's a bit of timing about him. Look, I think he's well in at the weights. I think he's going to be awfully hard to beat.
No, this is a tricky way to try and work out your quaddie bets. I think you're going to need 4 or 5 to get through the third leg. Tossed up between Intellectus, Call Me Jack, went back between the two, and look, I think Intellectus is the consistent runner. He's run well at Te Rapa in the past for an informed Hamish McNeil, somewhere around those 2 Myers runners. And Country Bumpkin, for sure, on his Coral run, he'd have to be running you a race too.
And speaking of it, here is Country Bumpkin in the Coral. Obviously took on the Grand Northern after this as well, Bevan, so he's been in some strong races.
I love him on Saturday. I think he'll like the better track conditions that'll prevail there at Te Rapa. I know his record here is poor, but we're not talking steeplechasing. I hope they go back to that dashing sort of lead up, fly them, put them under pressure. Look, not a lot of horses got within a length and a half of West Coast, and this horse has. And he's had an off and on season where he hasn't really had that much steeplechasing, just the 2, and they've been in the very top echelons of company. So, Leith, I'm pretty keen. He's a colourful character on Noel Quinn, and this is a good jumper, and I think he's a danger on Saturday.
Yeah, he certainly is. Look, he was, West Coast there. He's sort of, past the post there. He's in front of him, I know, but he's jumping good. He looks really happy. He never makes a mistake, and look, he goes good at Te Rapa as well.
Yeah, look, it's an interesting race for a horse like Country Bumpkin. If he gets the right sort of run, he's going to play some sort of part. Call Me Jack, I think the extra 1,300 metres will certainly suit a horse like him. He's a 2-time steeplechase winner over 4,000 metres, so you've got to really have him in the mix based on those statistics.
And then what about the favourite? We need to have a look at Renegade Fighter. Did beat Call Me Jack here last time and won pretty convincingly as well by 7 lengths here, Leith.
Yeah, look, he loved the heavy track. There was no excuses for the rest. Just don't know if this race is really taking a little bit out of him or not. He goes down in the handicap to 66 kilos, so if it happens to rain on Saturday, certainly a top 3 chance.
I just think he needs more rain, then they'll get there at Te Rapa on Saturday. That was a great win. A lot of horses just dip their toe in on Sunday at that particular track and said, not for me today. He said, absolutely for me today, and he was very good. That was only win 2 at start number 47, so I think he's meeting a couple that are going to test him here on Saturday.
Yeah, look, I'm with you on those thoughts around that Rotorua run, and particularly what Leith mentioned as well. How much is that going to take out of those sort of horses? And I guess that Call Me Jack comes into that conversation, and yeah, I think that's sort of swayed me with my selection as well.
Okay, well, we'll find out what Matt's selection is in a moment, because I'm going to start with you, Bevan. We've talked about half the field. Who's the one for you?
I'm going with the Bumpkin, Country Bumpkin, 68.5, Corey Wiles, Noel Quinn travelling up to Te Rapa. I think he's building to something. Yes, he's a little disappointing behind West Coast at the extreme distance, but that was second up steeplechasing. I'm really expecting a decent sort of performance from him on Saturday.
Yeah, I'm going to go Call Me Jack. I think the Symes-owned runner. Look, it was okay last start at Rotorua. I think Mr Myers had this race planned, and I'm willing to give him a winning chance with 67 kilos on his back this week.
Yeah, I could be one of about 3 or 4 horses in here, but I landed with Intellectus. He didn't go to Rotorua, and I'm just thinking that maybe it might take the stuffing out of a couple of those, but you can never doubt Kevin Myers. I think one of the two will be going very close, but Intellectus for me.
That's what the guys are liking, and the first race from Te Rapa, don't miss the action, 11:35 a.m. Saturday. It's that time on the form. Our racetrackers. Leith, we're going to start with you. Who have you picked out this week?
Going to take you to Taupo yesterday, Pip, in the 3-year-old open race over 1,100 metres. Civically won the race. Just before then, Super Fonton, he didn't have all things go his way. It's a pretty tight turning track, and Civically won pretty easy. He had his ears pricked at the post, but I just think once Super Fonton gets up to that 1,400 metre mile, I think he's my sort of Hawke's Bay early guineas sort of pick. He's $4 in the Hawke's Bay guineas, and you get $8 in the 2,000 guineas. He's a beautiful looking horse, and I think, you know, just forget about that run yesterday. Yes, he runs second, but there's a bit to take out of it.
Taking you back to one of the old Stooges and out of Taranaki on Saturday, can he rock? How good was he? I was blown away by this performance, and he was sort of weaving between runners on a track that really didn't suit him at way short of his best fresh up. Just watch the last bit of work for him. Think he's in for a pretty good spring and summer, and he'll be competing in all the big cups races across New Zealand as we get serious racing underway.
I'm going to take you to Addington on Friday, and this horse wide out, Zoltan Boschik, bearing in mind that the first 2 in running were the first 2 home, and they were the first 2 to the first corner, so he's run against the pattern, come from near last over the 1,980 metres. I think he's a lovely horse, this Zoltan Boschik. Races on Friday at Addington, race 3, and currently as we record the show, he's $10 into $6, so there's been a market move around him already.
And I'm taking you back to Taupo on Wednesday as well. Alabama Lass here. She's come back in really nice form for Ken and Bev Calso. I know there's probably improvement from the other fillies in behind, like Archaic Smile and even Velocious and Sister Ping, but she was wayward up the track. She wanted to duck and dive around a little bit, but she was so convincing here. So I'm going to stick with her heading towards the Gold Trail in a few weeks' time out of Hastings. So here's a summary. Super Photon for Leith, Kenny Rock for Bevan, Zoltan Boschik for Matt, and Alabama Lass for myself. Note them down and chuck them in your black book. Our second domestic meeting on Saturday is down at Riccarton on the synthetic for a change, and we're starting off with race number 3, the first race we want to touch on, and this is the Christchurch Casino 29th South Island Awards on the 13th of September, and La Ballanera is our favourite at $2.70, More Than Words at $3.70, and then you've got Kath and Kin at $4.20. Matt, La Ballanera, well, she dropped out of open class here and she almost picked up that win.
Yeah, she's a horse that they've been riding close to the speed. They tried to get away with it up front 3 starts ago when they tried to walk them, and then Zoolander was able to whip around and control the tempo. There doesn't look to be a whole heap of pressure here. The stablemate More Than Words drawn inside of it, so I don't think that they'll be holding La Ballanera out. The big key for this horse, Leith, as we watch her getting beat by Kana last time out, is if she can bounce out, lead, control it, and then kick away at the end. If they come and apply the pressure, I think that's when she becomes vulnerable.
Yeah, exactly, Matt. Look, Kana ran 3rd in the special conditions race as well, and look, out of that, I thought More Than Words was a little bit unlucky. You know, got checked and held up all the way up the straight. But like you said, if La Ballanera can control the speed, she's going to be awfully hard to beat.
Look, Kana's a decent galloper, as we saw through the Riccarton Carnival last year in the performances prior. So that's a decent sort of effort. And right on speed, I don't see many attackers in a small field. King Cougar, whether he's going good enough to be really putting pressure on La Bellanera, I'm not sure. Tina.com in the saddle, I think she'll just dominate this particular race. Very tough to beat. If they do attack, then it's a different kettle of fish. Mentioned More Than Words. This is a horse who's got a fair bit of ability as well. We'll pick up a Zoolander out of this race, but smaller field, you're not going to strike trouble like it did here on this particular occasions. Of course, down from the north, he's settled in nicely there. He's got a great record on this particular track. And look, all things being equal, Matt, with a little bit more luck, this horse probably could have taken this particular race out, and it's got a bit of quality, this race.
Yeah, the closing splits were good, better than 33 on the way home. And if you take Kana out of the picture, then it's the run of the race. And bearing in mind that the first and third horses were both on speed and just in behind it. So for both Kana and More Than Words to round it out as well as what they did was super. The worrying thing for More Than Words is drawn barrier 1. If there is a soft tempo, there'll be others who can peel better than 34 on the way home, which does make it a wee bit tricky. I think Zoolander is the interesting horse. If Kylie Williams senses a lack of tempo, I think she'll ride him exactly the same as what she did when he won here 3 starts ago. And we can be quite forgiving of him on his last couple of runs as well. He's going a lot better than his form would suggest.
Yeah, look, I think More Than Words, like you said, her manners are a little bit, in and out. And like you said, her sectionals, she broke 33 seconds. So, look, I think the market's got it a little bit wrong. I'm happy to take the $4.40 on the odds surge, and I think More Than Words is the one I want to be on.
I just don't think they're attacking here. I really don't think they're going to attack here. Small field, I think La Bellanera and leads from that particular gate, can hold up a consistent sort of galloper. Took a nice horse to beat it last time, so I'm with the favourite there in race number 3.
Yeah, Tina Komaniagi had a nice long holiday overseas. She come back and she pretty well kicked off where she left off, and she's a great judge of speed and she knows this horse well, so I think she'll bounce her out. Won't try and go too slow, won't try and go too fast. She'll find a real happy spot, and I think she'll get her chance to be too good for them in the 3rd.
Well, either way, it sounds like John and Karen Parsons have a very good chance in race number 3. As we move on now to race 7, the TAB handicap rating 80 here, and Chairman favourite $3.60. Strike Force at $5 along with Charbano, and then you're getting out to Analyst at $5.50. Let's go to Chairman. He looks like a synthetic specialist, Matt, with 4 starts for those 3 wins, including this one.
Yeah, and I think he'll work forward again as well, Pip. He led from 14 over this trip with 59 kilos 3 starts ago when he ran 3rd and behind Sincere, but since then he's just kept on winning. He's such a willing horse. He went on such a great run through July that Dicko did him as fresh into Bapa. He's a month in between runs, and he looks the natural pace influence in the race. Deep Beauty off barrier 1 gets out okay, only has 52 kilos on its back, but he should lob up on speed, and he's either in front or outside the leader, and under both circumstances should be in control of what's happening thereafter. You can't do any more than win, and he's won 3 out of his last 4 starts, Leith, and I like him on Saturday.
Yeah, look, he's only had the 5 starts since he shifted from the North Island, and his form's been unbelievable. Like you said, like he just got a liking for the synthetic track down there. 3 wins and 2 third, and his first up run was at Timaru when he ran 3rd as well. So look, he's going to be extremely hard to beat this week, and he's well weighted as well.
I wanted to find something outside the square because I thought Cheeman would be really short, and when I saw $3. Well, that's not too short. It's a fantastic price around a horse who's come a long way very quickly. That's always a slight concern in my mind, but the way he's lapping up the synthetic track, I think he can beat Chairman. And I think Lippy's going well enough to be an each-way play. It's at a good each-way price. It's not going to put itself in the mix from that 3 gate, which is a little bit of a worry. I don't see it back of midfield. It'll need a couple of decent sort of splits. It's been trialled up in between its run on the 12th of July. I actually would have liked a little bit more than the market gives me when I reflect back on the $3 about Chairman, but I've given it an each-way chance, Lippy.
He's one of those horses, Lippy, that he doesn't generally make his own luck, which you mentioned, Bevan. So he's hoping for a couple of horses to go at each other up front and there to be 3 or 4 tired ones turning for home, and he just keeps going the same speed. He's a really hard horse to back with confidence, and in this sort of race, the only horse I really saw going forward and applying the pressure was Chairman outside of Deep Beauty. So he's going to need a wee bit of luck. The interesting horse is Charbano. He's such a hard horse to catch. I've got no doubt in my mind he's the best horse in the race. Chibano. His last start was a flop. It was on a heavy track, and behind Master Marco's start before was much the same. He was a winner 4 starts ago. He's worth covering in their exotics and having $1 on just in case Chibano, but it's just hard to know when he turns up. So I'm going to go with Chairman as the selection in the race. Pip, I think he can make it 4 out of 5, and the month in between runs really suits him too, and he seems to love the mile, and as I said, he's such a willing horse, so no reason why he can't win again, but don't be surprised to see Chibano run a race.
And you can get $4.20 with that odd surge around Chairman as well. So Leith, does that interest you, or are you going elsewhere?
No, I'm definitely with Chairman. Pip, look, at 55.5 kilos, he's going to probably posse just outside the leader, and look, you go through that field, I can't find one to beat him.
Okay, what about you, Bevan? I sounded like you were almost wanting Chairman, but Lippy a little bit too for you?
Oh, I've got to give Leith a little bit of lip and go with Lippy and say there is one to beat Chairman. We'll need luck. I don't think there's any doubt about that, and you can back Chairman at $3 and have a little bit each way on Lippy, as Matt recommended. We'll need luck from that particular draw. Gets a kilo off down to 53, so 2.5 kilos there, but Chairman will be out in front. Hasn't stopped on a run this preparation, so Lippy will need a little bit of luck, but going with it is a little bit of each way.
Okay, and the odd surge not only available on just race 7, but on each and every race as well. So if you want to bet into that, make sure you tune in the first race from Riccarton, 12:30 p.m. Saturday, trackside 1. Time to try and find you some winners for the weekend. Leith, who have you found for us?
You took Ramwick on Saturday, picked the Wink Stakes Group 1 race. Fangirl, look, she won the race last year. James McDonald on. She's a bit short. She's $2.25, but she's flying. She's had 2 quiet trials, and she's going to be very, very hard to beat this week. And I think she's the winner. $2.25 is a little bit short, but she'll be winning for me.
I'm going to make you wait a long time. I'm going in the 10th on the program out of Hawara on Sunday, and a horse called Passenger for the Fannin and Chauffeur team. Really unlucky not to have won its debut, coming off a really good trial, going back to Hawara for its next performance. I think the experience will really help it, and it should be at a decent sort of each way quote in a big field.
Well, there's going to be a familiar set of colours on Friday night at Addington, the colours of Sir Peter Vella and Daniel Narclay also in the sharing the ownership of this horse. Captain Moonlight. Blair Orange drives Hayden Cullen, race 1, number 1. This was his most recent trial. He's $2.30 into $1.95. As soon as you watch this, jump on, because I reckon he starts closer to $1.40.
Oh, like it. And I will be going for this greyhound on Sunday, Apawa Isaac. He went very close last time, diving up the inside. I think he's in an easier field in race number 8, and he should be winning. So that's what we're liking for our best. And you can see as well, the whale agrees with Matt. So yes, if you're watching this, jump on, because that price will skinny in around Captain Moonlight. Diablo Blanco for Aiden as well at Riccarton on Saturday. Fangirl for Leith on with the Power Isaac, and Bevan rounds us out with Passenger at Hawara on Sunday. And that's all the time we've got for the form. Once again, thanks to Bevan, Leith and Matt. Enjoy this weekend's racing. We're in for a treat, and we'll catch you back next week.